think we're gonna start. Thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Diana Olano. I am the sales director of the Caribbean, US, and Panama. Your speaker today is Álvaro Correal. He's a civil engineer with over 15 years of experience in the construction field and has been working with us for a little bit more than 8 years. He will be speaking about practices and controls in the use of formwork in industrial construction. And this conference will last about an hour. Please write your comments or questions in the Q&A box, and we will get to them at the end of the presentation. Without further ado, let's begin. So here he is, Álvaro Correal.
Thank you, Diana, for your introduction, and thank you everyone for being connected today. Let's talk today about this this important topic, and at the end, please leave your questions in the box below for questions and answers. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Here we are. Okay, so today we are going to talk about a step-by-step of the construction with industrialized systems with Forza aluminum systems. We are going to talk about the formwork system. We have 3 types of systems, which is the Forza Alum, Forza Plus, and Forza Pro. There are some differences between them, but we are not going to discuss about them today, as the construction itself is the same with each of these systems. Basically, the types that we have with any of these formworks are the full wall forms. Let me find this laser wall forms, and we have standard forms with a width of 60 cms, and we can have 210, 240, and even for special markets with higher free heights, we have 270 cm height standard forms. We have slab forms. This is the name that we have for them. And the standard is 90 by 120 cm. And of course, depending on the modulation of the slab, we can have, and we will send you different configurations and different dimensions of them. For the wall slab unions, we have different kind of these profiles. We have in corners like this we see here, 5 cm, 10, 20, 25 cms, and we also have the razor, which is this ledger, and this one is only 7 millimeters wide. And for other, we have complements, we have bulkheads, we have this to close the openings on doors and windows. Many configurations for gables and all the kind of architectural details that are required depending on your project. For the accessories in our formwork system, we have the arrow pins. We have threaded bolts. With these threaded bolts, you can adjust this bolt and use this accessory on different sizes of openings. You have pins. We try to standardize as maximum as possible, so you will receive lots of these short pins, but also it's possible for you to have medium and large and even flat heads pins. Stable pins. This accessory is used where it's not possible to have the coincidence of 2 bores, 2 pinholes, so you can install this one. The wedges, which are the ones that adjust the pins, this hole, and the ties. The ties are the ones that you use to give the wall, wide. So you have different dimensions depending on the wall wide that you have. To align, you have these accessories. You have Whaler brackets. In this, we're going to talk about all of this later. wall braces to plumb and give verticality to walls. We have the fixed and adjustable braces. These are used on door openings. We have internal aligners, wall complements, lots of accessories. This is just like the basic ones, but depending on the design, you will have the whole solution provided by us. The toolkit, basically it's formed by this formwork puller, the type puller, and the leveling crowbar. This is for assembly and striking the formworks. And consumables that you will receive with each of our sets. The tie covers. The tie covers are basically a sleeve, and you put the ties into that sleeve, so that tie is not going to be stuck in the concrete. We have plastic separators for walls and for slabs. This one here is for slab. This one, the round one, is for the walls, and at least install 1 per square meters. These on walls, and 2 per square meter on slabs. And for cleaning, we provide steel wool with each unit, which is 200 grams. You can achieve up to 10 pores. I mean the uses that you can get out of them. Okay, so there are 2 or 3 activities that you have to consider when you go industrialize. One is the preliminary activities. As you can see here, you need to have all these ready before going to the formwork cycle. So it's not very clear here, but this orange piping is not hanging on the air. It's hanging on some wire mesh that is not possible to see very well. And everything is already set in place and fixed, so you can come with the formwork, start the assembly, and then pour the concrete and achieve this result, like the one that you see in this picture. This picture is very interesting. This is a project in Saudi Arabia, in Taif city. And you can see the already poured structure for a ground floor. And you can see behind all the preliminary activities that are already done. So this is very important to have foundations and everything that we are going to talk today. And I'm going to be I'm going to take more time to talk about these preliminary activities, because when you go and you choose to build your project with an industrialized system, is not only industrializing the pouring itself, but all the previous activities. It's like linked. Everything is linked. Every activity it conducts to another one. Okay, so for these preliminary activities, we have just the same kind of foundation, and depending on the structural design, it's basically the same. In this picture, what we have is that they have removed the topsoil. They filled with a new compacted material, some granulate aggregates, and they have compacted it, leveled the material, and then they locate the reinforcing steel and all the MEPs. Very important that these activities of location and access and everything is done with accuracy, so you can materialize what you have in your drawings on site. So basically what you see here in the picture is the access banks. This is basically done everywhere, and with the surveyor team, you can do this here. Important to identify and locate each point of the building. And then the only difference with a conventional slab or foundation is that you have these studs or this vertical steel that you have on the foundation. You have to leave this so you can attach later the wire mesh or the rebar or whatever the reinforcement you have for the building or the house. Okay, now have in mind that before pouring the slab, you need to do a final check to see if everything is properly set. Remember to use a vibrator to achieve the required strength of the concrete, and if possible, to have a magnesium or an aluminum wool float to get a very well leveled surface. This is a primary task that you must achieve. Okay, here in these pictures, we have examples of foundations. So you can see here the houses and all these foundations that are being constructed. So please have in mind that it's very important to have all these activities done before you arrive with the formworks. You can see in this picture that they already have the steel and they are working on all the preliminary tasks. Okay, so before the arrival or before you start working with the set, you need to check and to do some activities on the foundation slabs. This is a perfect example. They must be cornered, they must be squared, leveled. This is very important, and I'm going to be very repetitive with that, and to have precise dimensions. There is something quite particular in this picture, and is that you don't see too much reinforcement coming out of this foundation. And this is maybe because this picture was taken in Brazil, and they don't have this requirement because they don't have earthquakes or this kind of risk. After you check everything on the slab, you need to trace all the walls. So you trace the inside, outside of the walls, the door openings. In this picture, you can see that you can also have an additional axis like this one, because once you put the formworks here, this line is going to be covered, so you won't be able to see it. And with this line, you can check if these walls are aligned. You draw this line on a known distance, like let's say 30 cm, and then you check that each panel is a 30 cm distance. There is something very nice also in this picture, and is these yellow lines. I hope you can see them. And these yellow lines are basically showing us the tracing of the hydraulic piping. And this is to not damage them when you have to drill for these studs, or if you have to drill to install braces to give the verticality for the walls. So this is a very important one to do. Okay. After having these traces, then you install all the walls reinforcing steel. So you have to check that all the dimensions are correct, including the windows, the doors. To install the spacers, this is the plastic spacers that we talked about before, 1 per square meter at least. We have these corners, these rebars, and everything that you have in your structural design, you have to check it and to ensure that everything is installed correctly. After that, you install all the MEPs, all the piping, and this picture shows something interesting, and it's this wire mesh, a smaller one, and this is to avoid having a vertical cracking because of this pipe. When you have pipes, it's recommended to do this. Okay. Also, for your foundation, if you have not considered the width of the formwork, then you can install here wooden stools to support the wall formworks. But of course, it's always better to have the slabs a little bit bigger, like 10 cm if possible, so you can give the right support for the formworks. Preparation of piping, as you can see here in this picture. If you have all this work done before, you have pre-assembly of this, then you go into the slab and you put everything there, and everything is going to be faster. You know that all the activities are linked together, and if you stop and you take too much time in one activity, then the other one is going to be delayed. So important to have all of this. These guys here working on the ties, covering with the tie slits. Everything that you can do to have pre-ready, you should do it. Okay, once the preliminary activities are finished, then you have to do some checking. You do this with your supervisor, foreman, or junior civil engineers, and it's basically to check that everything is right in place, that everything is fixed in the right way. They're not going like the boxes, electrical boxes are not going to move when you pour the concrete. The clearance between piping, if you do something like this to use separators between them, it's better because you guarantee that the concrete is going to surround the pipes. And the boxes, the electrical boxes, I have some here in this picture. It's better if you have these boxes to be in direct contact with the formwork. So once you retire, you remove the formwork, you can see the electrical box, and you don't have to do any reprocess. The idea is to have everything like almost ready to be painted. Okay, so in this picture, we saw this, and we also see these separators, which we are going to talk about this later. That's it. You have here, you can see all the piping and everything ready in place to assemble the formwork after that. Some other checklists that you must do is that you have all the traces. Be sure to test the hydraulic system, and to do it, we recommend to use something like this pump to have a minimum 100 psi for 3 hours. So after 3 hours, you go and check if the system is having some loss, and if not, then you can just go on. But if you have some loss of pressure, then you just go and find where and fix it. Okay, so you check everything that we talked about before, and then you are ready and set to go. But let's talk about the implements and the safety and all the things that are required for the workers to have, like for safety reasons. They need the goggles for eye protection. They need earplugs. You know that these guys are hammering all day long, so you don't want them to get deaf. So they need to be protected in that way also, not only with the boots, steel toe boots. They need a harness, they need a vest, reflective one, and in somewhere, maybe in the helmet or in the same vest, it's also good to have their names and the type of blood. Tools they need to have, each of them must have a hammer. You know, they assembly and strike the foams with the hammer. That's basically the only and most important tool that they have. A scraper tool, because it's very important to have the set and the formworks clean every day. Then that way you guarantee that the finishing is the optimal one, and that way you're going to save money on the final stage, which is the painting stage. All of them must have a measuring tape, buckets, 2 buckets, so they organize the pins, the wedges, the staples, everything that they have, and this way they reduce the losses of accessories, and they do a faster job. You'll have a faster inventory when you need to know how many you have lost. Yeah, you know that it's very clever to have an organized project. And gloves, of course, that is very important, because these forms can get very hot, can get very cold in some places, and of course to give protection to their hands. Okay, so the first step after the preliminary is the pining process. There are many kinds of elements that you can use for pining. In this case, you can see here they use like rod pieces or steel studs. This is the most common that you will see because it's cheap. It takes several steps because you have to drill, then you have to have pre-cut these studs, then you go with them and you hammer them. So you get good results, but it's kind of destructive to the slab. Now this one here is another option. You can use plastic or metal U cups like you do in gypsum or this kind of construction. These plastic spacers, this is very used in some markets. It's a good one. The only thing that we have found about this is that they can get deformed by the foams. So maybe you can, if you don't do it in the right way, you can reduce the space. So anyway, they work kind of good. And this wood restrictions, this is we don't recommend that, but it's something that some of our clients do, so we have to show it, but it's not the best option. Okay, now we are going to start with the process of assembling the formwork. There are two ways of doing this. You can start assembling the inner wall formwork and then the outer one, or you can start with both at the same time. This is the quicker and safer way to do it, and this is the one that we recommend, but it depends on how many people you have, how big is your staff. So you begin your installation at the corners. You place the forms upon the wall traces, and you use the pin studs that we saw before as a restriction. Okay, you have the formers, they need to be clean, and you apply release agent before going into the place. You start in a corner and you fix the wall form into it, and then the other one here, so it remains standing and you can go and get another former. So this is the right way to do it. We already talked about this. This is basically the pins that we use to attach the panels together. Okay, here this guy is just moving the arrow pin, then he put a wedge like this one, but here, and then it just get adjusted with a hammer. Remember to install the ties. This picture is showing the old force alarm because there are like 8 ties in height. You know that right now we have the Force Plus with only 2 ties, but we have to show all the systems. And the ties that we are talking about, they are basically the ones that define how wide are the walls. So you repeat the above steps for every wall. In this picture, you can see this is another system. This has only 1, 2, 3, 4 ties. Maybe it's the Force Plus, but it's a higher one, so it doesn't require 2 but 4, or even 4 ties at height. You can see here they also installed this wire to avoid the vertical cracking. Very important. Okay, so you do the same for every wall, inside, outside, and you close the walls. Once you have these walls ready, you want them to be aligned, so you install these Weyler brackets. And then when you have these Weyler brackets, you install steel Weyler. Sorry, there is a commercial steel angle that you can get. Dimensions are here. You install 1 below, 1 at the top, And if you have very tall walls, like more than 3 meters height, you can install another one in the middle. This is used especially when you have gables. And also in some places, like where you have doors, when you have closed walls, small ones that can be moved, you can install something like this. Nowadays, we have a solution, a steel one, so you don't have to use wood in your project. We show it, as I said before, because these are practices that some guys are doing in the projects. Not the best ones, but sometimes you have to give solutions on site. Okay. In the last step, we mentioned and we talked about the horizontal alignment. Now we're going to talk about verticality. So you install these wall braces, these ones, the diagonal ones. You install them and you move them. So you move the wall, and once it's plumbed, then you fix it. And then you proceed with the installation of these braces for openings, for doors and windows. In that way, you guarantee the dimensions of these openings. Now you have all the walls ready. They are aligned and they are vertical. So you go to install the wall slab unions. Remember that we talked that there are different kinds of them. Even this kind of form that we have for slanted slabs, the zero or razor. So you attach this to the panels, and after that you can start installing the slab panels. In this case, we have this slanted slab. This is not very common, but we can suit our systems to your needs. So this is important to show you. It does even have this detail here. So every architectural detail that you have, we can include it depending on which system you choose. But let's say in Forza Plus, which is like our top of the line product, our premium line, you can have whatever the architectural detail you want. Okay, after that, if you have already in place your corners, then you start installing the the slab panels according to the plans and drawings that we provide you. That's it. So you go installing inside all the areas, and you use the props to be as level as possible. You install the underpinning slabs. Our drawings are going to show you where these underpinning slabs are going to be placed, and you put a jack above them. These jack supports, they are used in the corners, in the joints of 3 or 4 slab formworks, and they are shown on the plans also. We will tell you where to use this. This is only for pouring purposes. After pouring, you disassemble this. This is not for back propping, just for propping at the pouring event. Okay, after that, then you proceed with the leveling with precision equipment. The better you do, the better results you will get. So you level your slab, and after that you can go and work on all the installation of the MEPs on the slab. So here you can see that you have the plastic spacers, you have the wire mesh, the reinforcement, you have piping, everything here in place. Okay. Again, you must check everything that is being made according to the design. And once you have all that ready, then you go into a final check again. This must be done by a supervisor or someone with knowledge of the system and knowledge of construction. So this guy and his crew must check their verticality, the walls alignment, that the slab is level, the accessories are proper positioned and in enough amount, that underpinning slabs and everything is put on the right place. And general cleaning, as you can see here, these sets are very clean, and this is the way they're supposed to look every day. It's also advisable, as you can see here, this guy is applying diesel. Why is he doing that? He's applying diesel here and inside, just to protect the aluminum and to avoid the concrete encrusting into the aluminum, and this is the easier way to achieve that. Before pouring the concrete, you can also use a jet, like these washers that you have with pressure, and you can wash all the surfaces that will receive the new concrete and remove the debris, and you will hydrate the concrete that is going to be poured. Regarding this concrete, remember that this concrete is not very special. It's just a concrete that it has a small aggregate size. For walls, we recommend to have a 3/8 inch or half-inch size aggregate. That's the maximum size, and 3/4 for slabs. If you are using a concrete, not an auto leveling concrete, then we recommend to have a slump between 8 inches and 10 inches. Okay, with of course a proper dosage according to design, and with the plasticizers, super plasticizers, and the additives that you need to for this concrete to achieve a very high strength at the first 10-12 hours. But this is not the topic that we're discussing today, but we can go further into that information if you require it in a next webinar. So we start pouring the concrete in one of the corners. Then we go for the walls, and you must use an internal vibrator if you're using this 8 inches, 10 inches slump concrete, and some other guys doing external vibration with these rubber mallets, and they must be using and punching the formworks in these reinforcements that we see here, not in the contact face, because they can deform it. But these reinforcements are done and designed for that purpose also. Okay, so remember to spread the concrete evenly on the slab. You don't want to have a lot of concrete over the slabs, because you can overload it and damage it. And the concrete pumping, like we see here, must be not higher than 90 cm, because you can damage the slab former by impact, and you can also get the concrete segregated, and you don't want that. These pictures are actually very nice, because you can see here just some 2-3 guys doing the work. This is probably a self-leveling concrete, so they don't need to do internal vibration. But external it's recommended. Okay. In addition to leveling the slabs, you can check the thickness of the slab with a steel bar with marks, or with the dimension that you require, let's say 10 cm. So you use it to check that it has the required dimension. Once, like after an hour or something, that the concrete has been poured, then you float it, whatever the method you want to use. Very important, as I said, to have a very good level slab. And remember, the surveyor here in this stage, very important to have his collaboration and his work, and he will be the one checking and telling you if you need to go higher or lower. I didn't talk before about this, but this in the some models we have, we also provide this system, safety system, for the workers to pour the concrete with ease and in the safer conditions, like you see here in this picture. These guys are installing the safety system, and this guy is starting to pour the concrete, and everything in the right place. Inside the formwork, it's recommended to have someone washing the formwork with pressurized water if possible. So sometimes the concrete you get a bit of concrete here inside, so you can wash the forms and it won't get stuck into the formworks. And that's it. You finish, you level your slab, and everything is ready. Okay, so now we are going to talk about striking the formwork. That's next day. We already talked about assembly. So the next day, these guys come and they remove all the steel accessories, aligners, tensors, braces, everything that is holding together the panels. And then you start using the formwork puller to remove the forms, as you can see here in this picture. And then the process is repeated again and again. You remove a form, you clean it, you apply release agent over it, and then you put it into the same location, but next apartment or next house. Once you finish the walls disassembly, then you start to remove all the steel accessories from the slab, and same thing. You move it to the next location. You just leave the back propping with the underpinning slabs, and they must remain in place for 3 days. Some clients prefer to leave them for 7 days, so we provide enough underpinning slabs for these guys. But 3 days, if you use the correct concrete, it's enough. And this guy is just removing the ties and again putting sleeves over them to protect them. And to go on upper floors, once you finish your ground floor, then you need to assemble the scaffolding or safety system. So you install the exterior walkways. They are installed very easy because in the 2 holes that were left in the flooring, you install these walkways, and you use this omni wedge with a pin and a wedge to attach them very firmly to the wall from the inside. This is like the result that you will have. And after that, you start installing all the walkways around the house. We have different types. We will send you a plan and showing you how to do it step by step. We also provide these angles to give support to the next set of formers for the next floor. This is assembled here in this point with a staple pin. And that's how it looks. You repeat the process again and again. It becomes very repetitive. This is why it's called industrialized construction. And at the end, because these guys are going to be working on the same area every day and doing the same job, so they become very efficient. And that's why you can reduce the times in crazy way. And that's it. You repeat all the process. All the process is shown here every day. Here you can see how safe they are, and they work upon this system. Some projects in Panama, Peru, all around the world being constructed with our systems. So that's basically it. Very fast presentation for you. Now we're going to have a space to solve the questions that you may have. Uh, I don't see where. Sorry, Diana. Okay, there is this question. Is this information going to be available for us? Yes, this presentation is going to be sent to everyone that is connected today. And if you need further information on whatever you want to know and go deeper, just please send us an email, and of course we will send you more information about it. There is another one here. It says, what is the resistance of the panels and how do you guarantee not to exceed it when pouring concrete? Okay, our aluminum formworks are designed for a strength of 60 megapascals. And it basically, if you don't want to damage your forms, you need to consider the speed of pouring. So if you are in a hot weather, it's easier. But if you are in a cold place, you need to consider that, and we can provide some tables to you. So depending on the weather, depending on the speed of the winds, and so many factors, you can have a look and decide the speed of pouring the concrete. Most of the time is not very demanding, because you know that we are pouring concrete only at 3 meters height. But if you are pouring a wall, maybe sometimes in malls or in commercial projects where you are pouring 5 or 6 meters free height walls, then you need to consider this, and this is very important. We can also, of course, provide these tables for you if you request us, or even if not, we will do it. Okay, there is another question. Is it possible to have this kind of training on site? Yes, of course. This was a very quick talk about this, how to do it, the step-by-step on site. But first, of course, we provide a technical support, technical training for your staff. And at the beginning of the project, you will have a technician there training your staff on how to do this, and of course, giving a more detailed explanation. It wasn't the purpose of today, but of course. Yeah, this one is basically just the same question.
There's another question, Alvaro. Someone is asking, how often does Forza recommends to do the maintenance on the formwork?
Okay, Diana. You know that there are different kinds of maintenance of the formwork. There is this maintenance that we do daily, which is basically to have the scraper tool, to have the wire wool, to clean every day, and to apply the release agent. This is like the basic maintenance that you must do. And there is some other kind of maintenance when you have, let's say, some panels deformed because I don't know, maybe these guys dismantle or strike the forms in a not proper way, or they leave the form to fall from the third floor, so it become bended. So there are ways that you can do the maintenance of this piece on site, and to repair it. We can show you how to do it also. And there are some others, like checkings that you must do, like the accessories, the steel accessories. You need to check them every 250 uses, and if required, you need to change some of them. And if not, you need to at least apply some oil to remove the rust or whatever that is not supposed to be there. So that's it. If you want to have a special maintenance, it's recommended after each project, a big one. Let's say you build 400 houses, Then you do a general maintenance of the forms, and then you start again another project of the same one.
Okay. We have another question. It says, leaving props for only 3 days when concrete usually has not reached 50% of FC, and all the activity on top of the new slab.
What is it? That's all?
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I said that it depends on the concrete design that you have. Most of the time, at the third day, you have achieved like 70% of the resistance, of the design resistance. So if you have 50%, of course you cannot strike these forms. That's why some of our clients are requiring to have 7 days, and we can provide these underpinning slabs and the back propping required for 7 days. Is there any additional question? How do you guarantee now? This one is already okay. There is another question. It says, how works the shoring forms with the jack support and props for the slab? How works the shoring forms?
I think that refers to the maybe the capacity of the props and that we use to support the slab during the pouring and afterwards.
Okay. Yes. You know that in Forza we have a software that show us, depending on the dimensions of the slab and all the loads that are going to be bared by these slabs, the dead loads, like the structure that is going to be upon it, and the live loads, like the workers working there and walking and all this kind of winds and everything. So this software show us where to put these underpinning slabs and the jack supports. We use normal standard jacks with a standard strength. So you can have these underpinning slabs, and you can have the Forza jacks, or you can use the jacks that you can rent on your country. So I hope that answer this question. Is there anything else that we can answer today?
Let's see. I think let's wait a couple seconds and see if anyone else has a question. We have another one, I think. How do we prevent the wall formwork from floating up during the pour?
What? Do you understand that question? Floating up?
Yeah, from lifting during the pour. If there is, I understand that is something like if the slab is not completely leveled, maybe the concrete can come below, and during the pour the wall panels could be lifted. So I think the question is more about if we have to pin it or put some kind of accessory to keep it
in place, that it doesn't go flying. Okay, yeah. You know that is actually the forms, the aluminum forms are very lightweight, but when you have 27 kilograms every 60 cm, at the end, you don't have a very light structure. The whole set can be very heavy. So I haven't seen that the concrete lifting or floating up the formworks. But anyway, what I have seen, and it's quite common, is to see that the concrete goes below, as you say. When you don't have a very well leveled slab, the concrete or the segregate of the concrete can goes below. And what you do there is to put some sand where you see these holes. You put sand before pouring, or you can use some products that you can get like by Sika or whatever. But sand is the easiest because you have sand in like every project. So you can use plastic also. Yeah, that's it.
Great. Okay, so I think we don't have any more questions. So thank you, Alvaro, for this presentation, and thank you everyone for participating, and we hope to meet you soon again. Soon.
Thank you, Diana. It was a pleasure to have this conversation with you, and thank you everyone for being connected today. I hope this presentation is useful to you, and let's meet in another webinar. Thank you.
Yeah. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.